Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Willington Board of Education meeting. It is Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. We're calling the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. At this time, in my absence, I ask the Vice Chair to preside for the duration of tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you, Mr.
All right, so we'll move on to pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, Chairperson.
Hi. I just wanted to make sure to say thank you to members of the board and members of the community who have participated in our budget process. It's been a long, hard one, and thank you to everybody who came out and supported our budget this last time. Obviously, there's some steps to take now that we've gotten this far, and we'll get some work done on that tonight, working together as a group. And I hope that our community will continue to be engaged as we move forward. So I just wanted to touch on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Brianna. All right, item 4, present to speak. Public participation is desired and encouraged. Speakers will be limited to time, appropriateness, maintaining decorum, and staying on topic. I mix those two up. There is nobody in the room tonight, so if there's anybody online who is here for present to speak, you can raise your hand. Nobody? Doug? Katie?
You were my checker. I didn't know if you were doing it. I didn't want to know.
No, go for it. I should get a new timer. Cool. Loser?
No. There you go.
Okay, it wasn't letting me. Okay. I just again wanted to thank everybody on the board for all of their really hard work. I know you guys have been through it. I know you guys have some tough decisions to make today. And I hope I speak for the community when I say we put all our trust in your hands. We know you guys will make the best decision for our children, even though they won't be the easiest. I would not put myself in your shoes at this point because I'd be so afraid to mess it up, but you guys are great. Thank you so much. And I apologize for any negativity that you guys may be dealing with. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Anyone else online who is present to speak? All right, we have another opportunity at the end of the meeting for present to speak as well. Number 5, communications or FOI requests.
Yeah, and I also had sent you 4 parent emails and I forgot to write them on here. So you had the emails that were all about kindergarten. That was from Cala, Fultz. Fultz was I think a little broader. Graziano and Madrid. So I just want to make sure I said that. You all got those emails though. Did you get those emails? I'm just looking at Pete.
I believe
I will go back. I will go back and check for you just in case.
I do not believe I have Graziano, and I think the reason for that is I think my email is still messed up on the website. I think some people told me that it doesn't click through or doesn't run properly.
I will check that tomorrow.
Yeah, but I have an account with 700 and
Okay.
places. Unless it came very, very.
No. It was.
I know, I know.
So it's Graziano, you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Same thing with the FOI request, so it's the same, want to know what the.
They're all contracts. And I talked to Ashford today, they're getting the same ones. They're all looking for, they're just listing companies and looking for your contracts. And Brianne has spent a lot of time on it. And now we're just basically saying to them, it looks like it's gonna be over $10 because the number of copies, it's paper copies, it's gonna be. And then there's silence, there's crickets, they're not gonna pay you for anything, so they don't respond. So we've kind of, we leave them open, but we can show our response that we said we responded and they don't respond back. So
What's the data breach? or data branch?
That's the data branch. That's just a group.
What they were just referring to.
That's who's out
Okay.
doing them, and
Yeah.
they're, I think they're selling it doesn't matter. We reached out, to find out if we could not respond. We have to.
Mhm.
So we've been responding the way we have. If we don't have any of the vendors, we just say we don't have any of the vendors. But if we do have documents, we just let them know that there's gonna be a charge to it because they're paper copies. And then crickets.
All right. Number 6, superintendent report, A, enrollment.
This is a short one tonight. So we're looking at, enrollment at center of 215. We're in like the hot season now, where people are coming and going. We're finding out about students, coming in and leaving, they're registering. So 215 today for 337 and 164 at Hall. And that's a total of 379. Again, that's going to change for the start of school, I guarantee it. We still have the 7 outplacements in the special ed setting. That's not going to change as of today that we know about. We have had some movement in staffing. So we had a letter of resignation from Steve Nappy. Steve was an HMS special ed teacher. He took a position in another district. We also received a letter of resignation from HMS art teacher Julie Chari. She could no longer work full-time for personal reasons. And we also received a letter of resignation from our staff support specialist, not because she didn't have a job anymore, but Heather Oskowski had been with us. She was going to be becoming a para, and she actually got a teaching job. So she took a job, I think it was East Hartford. So good for her. We hired Kelly McGilvray for the special ed teacher position, which is great. That not having that hole in the shortage area was fantastic. So that's already signed. We interviewed today for the kindergarten position. And I will tell you the feedback I heard from a couple people today that were on the panel was that all of the candidates were outstanding. And they have a finalist already, which is great. So they're checking references. I expect that to move quickly. And then HMS is interviewing potential art candidates. Not as many art candidates have come in, but it's open. I think we only have a couple candidates right now too for the world language position, which is the para educator position. That's going to be harder to fill. But Alicia's working on that as well. I think I jinxed myself last time. We lost our VCBA candidate. Person was making a lot more money, and their district they're in right now, they found out their raise for the next year, which was like $30,000 more than we were offering, even with our stretch. So we actually interviewed candidates today. I was in Ashford today, and we have a finalist, and checking references today, and potentially having a meeting tomorrow to meet with that person and go through a contract. So time will tell.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Did Shari not want to go back to center? Because center's a part-time art.
It would have to be agreed upon by the other person to want to go to the part-time, and they wanted the part-time position. I'm trying to keep Julie Chari on the hook a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
She's well liked.
She's an outstanding teacher, and she knows that I feel that way. We are working on trying to have her stay connected. She's going to try and do some private art things. She's, like just lessons, things like that. I'm going to try and connect her to the after school program. So if I can get her in once a week just to stay connected, if that part-time position comes up, she would jump back to it. And she's kicked herself because she's like, I wish I never left that part-time position. I just can't bump another person out. So.
Is there any way to make her position part-time, or you really need that?
There's no way we can make it 0.4.
Okay.
There's just no way.
Oh, 0.4 is very part-time.
Yeah, it's 2 days a week.
That's what she wants, is very.
She's looking for a couple days a week.
Okay.
Yeah, we tried a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah.
And sad news, this is an odd thing for staffing. I just want to make sure I announce this. Paul Nash was a longtime counselor in district here. He was a school counselor at HMS. He passed away unexpectedly, I believe a couple weeks ago now, but just passing that along, sending condolences to the family. He spent a lot of years in town, in district here, doing work with many of our students. So, just wanted to pass that along. And then my only other tonight, I didn't put this on. We'll talk about it a little bit in budget. We got the bus routes back, going down from 6.5 to 5.5 buses. And the longest routes right now, if every student on that run was on the bus, is an hour and 20 minutes. I don't know if there's too many days where every kid's on the bus. What I'll tell you is, I think it's manageable for what what you're getting out of it. And I think you'll have to change your policy just to make sure it aligns with that. We are still going through the routes to make sure everyone that did the waiver is off of the route. And we'll just reset them if they ever come back. But just passing that along. Short update tonight. It has been busy, but not
Yes. I just want to make it clear and clarify, because I had some questions on this, is that we are hiring for a third kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it, but there was some questions about that at our end of our last meeting. People didn't know if we were doing it or we weren't doing it.
Right.
We
It's on emails, yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're clear that we are hiring for a third kindergarten teacher. We're not going with the kindergarten class to go to 22, whatever.
Correct. And you'll see, I updated on your budget document the number, so the actual numbers, where it's at. In fourth grade, it's popped. We've had fourth graders coming in. I think we're at 48 now, something like that. So
And you still have 3 teachers at
yeah,
fourth and.
because that we were talking about, is it third or fourth?
Yeah.
That don't think you can do it with fourth grade right now. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Anything on superintendent's report?
How does the hour and 20 minutes compare to last year? What was the longest last year? I don't remember.
They were, if every kid was on the bus, they were slightly over an hour. And it's, to be honest with you, it's not every run. There are certain runs that are 45 minutes. It's just certain, there's 2 buses in particular that tend to have longer runs. And so we're going through just making sure every route is, efficient. We've got a couple of requests that have come in late about not having group stops, because there's a group stop in there that's off of a dead end, and we're asking people to come out, and that's all about minutes on buses. And remember that when we say an hour and 20 minutes of all of our students in district, that might impact 5 or 6 kids, because the rest of them are gotten off the bus. They're within their hour. So it's only a couple buses, but I would say it was not unheard of last year if every kid rode the bus that we were, in that hour range, hour 5, depending on traffic and, if everybody's on. So I expect they're going to be shorter, because the way we did the survey, John, was we basically said, every day. And there's people that are going to pick up or do after school program for a couple of days, but the other days they need bus transportation. It's going to come down some. I think we're going to see those times. We'll track that. They track at center school. They track when the last bus is, when they're empty. They make a note of it. So.
Anybody else? None? Thank you, Phil.
Yep.
New business. Number 7, A, regular meeting minutes, B, special meeting minutes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make my usual motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from July 14th and the special meeting minutes from July 27th, both of 2026.
Second.
Okay. Second, any further discussion on those minutes? Any corrections, any questions, issues? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Those intentions, Brianna's aye. All right, passing unanimously. All right, down to C, food services. Breakfast and lunch break.
Okay, hot off the press. Food Service Director Stephanie and I learned literally yesterday that breakfast is going to be free for students for 26-27. Of course, the state they put one line in the letter that we're questioning. There's some caveats to this. And so everybody just got this letter. Stephanie's not around, she's on vacation. So we're just confirming what it means. We believe, and I'm just going to give you the short version of this, is that we believe if you accept this, which we should, that every student would be free. And the caveat is that any student that qualifies for reduced prices, the district pays for to make them free. It's like 40, it's nothing. And we very few kids that are on reduced. You're either full, the majority are either full or free. So we are just waiting for confirmation on that. We have money to cover it. It's not an issue. To be honest with you, some of the people that are on the reduced thing are so close to free and they just don't qualify. Some of those people end up owing money. So this would really provide them free breakfast and lunch. It would be a positive thing. And that money, when I say come out of the district, I mean, it would come out of food services. We are looking, I will give you confirmation on that once we get that, but it was a little surprising because it was literally a 4-page letter and it was in one line. And it was not on, we have to attest to that we're going to do this, and it wasn't on that page. So we're questioning it.
So just to clarify, you mean if anybody qualifies for reduced, the state is going to allow them to basically become free overall, not just for breakfast, but overall. I believe that is correct. There is a gentleman on the high school board who this is his calling. That's universal free lunch for all, that's his thing. But I think his big victory was this year, they made basically the reduced, there's no more reduced category. It's for all around it.
What
I
they
believe that's correct.
didn't say is that food services is paying for it or districts are paying for it. So the state's still giving you reimbursement on it and you still have to classify them as reduced, but you have to pay for it. It's totally worth it. It is the right thing to do.
Right.
We just want to make sure we're clear on before we sign off on what we're doing. So literally at about 2:30 today, that breakfast, where it said the price for breakfast went to free. So we're quite certain that's where it's going. The student lunch price, we're suggesting a quarter increase. And you can see the cost for parents if they bought lunch. If they had one student every single day, it'd be $45. The lunch, we're supposed to just pay lunch equity. There's an asterisk underneath this. The state recommendation is in the $4 range. If we would have to meet the state's requirement, but because we have money in our account, in that food savings account, they allow us to charge less because they want to see that come down. So that's our recommendation. We think less than that it's not, they won't be so happy with that because we are so far off where they would like us to be. And then there's no change in the milk prices. That would be our recommendation.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposal.
I move that we accept the food services pricing review dated August 11th, 2026.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed. Objections? Passed unanimously. All right, there you go. Letter D, substitute rates.
Okay, so you typically do this every year, and I have two for you tonight. We just learned also that minimum wage is going up again. So it's going up to $17.48 on January 1, 2027. So just to simplify this, I made two of these, and this is going to be my suggestions that I'm proposing that you keep the sub rates as what you see on screen right there is what you've had. The certified retired teachers, $160 a day, bachelor's is $140 a day. Those are the teacher subs. The para educators will be at $120, a registered nurse at $230, and the custodians at $140. I'm requesting you leave that alone until through December 31st. And then January 1, you adopt this, is it just goes up $5 a day. And we have kept the buffer intentionally so that there's a difference between the para and the teacher subs. I did not make any adjustments to the registered nurse and custodian because they are in an appropriate ballpark. They're for where they are. And so the certified retired teacher, the bachelor's degree rate and the para rate all are up $5. So you could probably do this in one motion if you wanted to do it, just to say, we're going to keep prices the same through December 31st. And after that point, we will adopt the increase to $5 a day for those three. That's my recommendation.
So what's the substitute they classify as? How many hours?
So the teacher is 7 hours and 20 minutes. The paras are 7. A nurse is 7:30 and a custodian is 8. The custodian is still over minimum wage, even with the increase. But it's not, $1 over any back.
And the parent is about 40 cents over minimum wage.
You know what, John, do you remember what minimum wage is like up to?
1748.
And that's 1785.
And you really can't go too much higher on these because then you start getting into contracts.
Oh, really?
Well, you start thinking it's not the bottom range of our contracts are starting to close in on these. If you remember, we bumped 2 custodians because of the minimum wage kept increasing and they were just closing in on those 2 guys. This is same thing in the para world now. It would just give somebody a reason to go, well, I'm just going to sub.
I move that we keep the substitute rates as they are through December 31st and then adopt the new rates as of January 1st, 2027.
Second.
Any other discussion about this one? No? All those in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That's another unanimous. All right. Letter E, school building committee of.
That would be, okay, we had a very, monumental meeting last night. It was the meeting at which we decided which of the options we were going to send to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. First, before I tell you, which you probably already know, I wanted to share with you the results of the polling. We had 244 people present, 241 placed an actual vote. 78% of the people wanted option A, which was the new building on the new piece, on the land plus the new piece of land. 6.6% wanted option B, which was building a new school on the Hall property without the new land. And 15.4% wanted the option C, which would be renovating Hall School. And we chose the option A based partially on this, what we heard from our residents, 78% of whom wanted that option. We also had a few different things different reasons, which I'm sure you've heard. The extra land will allow us to have sport fields for every sport as opposed to overlapping fields. And Phil pointed out that will help decrease our operational budget because we won't be busing kids to other fields around town, which we presently do and which we would have to do with option 2. The other thing that has been talked about and was talked about again last night was keeping the original portion of Hall. This option would allow us to do that. Now that's probably not very likely. it would have to be paid for by the town or some other way. It wouldn't be part of our school building committee. But if that was pursued by anyone, we would have the land to do that. There is one thing that our architects and brought up is that if we were to use some part of that building for administrative offices, we could possibly get like 30% reimbursement from the state. So if you looking like you want to say something?
No, keep going.
Okay, we wouldn't be using the whole building, therefore we could not get the full 95%. Some ideas were thrown around, like making an auditorium out of part of it, but that probably wouldn't be justified as part of the school. Using it for office space. So that's one idea. And the option A allows that one idea to be a possibility. Unlikely, but a possibility. I think one of the other major reasons that everybody agreed on was that it would be not disruptive to the children. The children might not even know what's going on. There would be a couple of roads that enter the building site down by the Stock and Lock and the other 3 properties in the front, so they could enter right from 32, go to the back and do whatever they need to do to build, and the kids would be in the school pretty undisrupted. The other thing is, if they did do the renovation, it would probably take 4 years, and the new school would probably only take 2 years, so that they could occupy by 30-30 instead of 30-32. The other thing, and interestingly enough, we had a couple people on the committee that do historical renovations. One, an architect, Michelle, and the other one, Adam, works in that field too. And they both agreed that if we did the renovation, we would just are open to all kinds of problems, which would take time, which would cost money. So, they really supported the idea of the new school based on their experiences. We also talked about geothermal, and it was pointed out that we would save a lot on our operational costs by using geothermal. Also, we will get that our 90, very close to 95. What are we now, Phil? 94.58.
Yeah, it went up a little bit because the rate went up August 1st by a little over
1
percent.
point something, yeah.
Yeah.
So we would get that close to 95% on whatever equipment went into geothermal. And we would also get an $8,000 rebate from the state, or
I think it was 800,000.
800,000.
So it's a lot.
A lot, yeah.
There's a chance that's the rebate comes afterwards, not factored into the number. But there is a rebate that comes afterwards. And it's just, and it's a bonus
Yeah.
beyond the numbers that you have now, because it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, and it wouldn't go through the channels, it would just.
It's not in your
go
bonding
into
package.
the town funds, yeah. So that was, that's basically the decision that was made. Any questions about that? Anybody, or, okay, you've been following along, so I'm sure it's not a big surprise. Then, so that will then go on to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance for their approval. We have several big dates coming up.
You want the
And,
postcard up, and I have it.
oh, you have it already?
I have, well, no, it's not the new postcard, but it's the last postcard.
With the dates.
Yeah, if you want that, if you're gonna talk about it, I'll put it up.
Okay, sounds
This
good.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, black screen, perfect. There you go.
There we go. So we're kind of starting September 2nd at the bottom. We're going to have another community conversation, and this will be focused on option A. This will be lots of details about, what's involved in that building. Then actually tomorrow night, we have an important meeting too, because they're setting up the purchase of the land if the referendum passes. So all the dominoes are being set up now. And after September 29th, if it passes, then we'll let the dominoes fall. And one of them is that we need to put $20,000 down. And so tomorrow night, there will be a town hall meeting where we will ask for approval to use that $20,000. to put down on the property. And it's refundable if it does not pass. Should I mention the five? We may, if it gets voted down, we may lose part of it, just. Isn't there,
I didn't hear that.
that we could possibly, there might be five that they keep if it, don't forget that.
I haven't heard that
You
part.
Yeah, I
didn't- If you
didn't.
didn't hear it, you didn't hear it either, Peter, all right, forget it.
Do we know anything about the perk test for the land? If
Yes.
it's viable?
They're waiting for a report,
Okay.
but
They just came in and an email came in today. We haven't seen the report, but they said everything was looking good.
Okay.
Which is great.
yeah, and then the septic and the rest would be done as, if it passes. I think they're trying not to do,
Yeah, the geothermal would be, I think the septic is the last part that just came in, if I'm right. They're not gonna do they would do further investigation on geothermal, which would then be reimbursable because it'd be after, if the referendum passes.
see, that's the key. As soon as the referendum passes, everything is reimbursable from that day on, right, which is huge. Okay, also on September 2nd, going back to that, Phil's working with the, recreation
Yeah,
to try to have babysitting with movies and pizzas so that parents can bring their kids and they can, be having fun while the adults are attending the meeting. So I thought that was good, make it available for everybody. So we have the meeting tomorrow night, and then back on here, we have, on the 8th, we have a public hearing. And then on the 15th, we have the town meeting, which will call the referendum. And then the referendum will be on the 29th of September. At that point, we will need to hire, we switch our companies that we're working with.
they would rebid.
They would rebid, yeah.
They'd have to rebid.
Okay. And we do that right after the referendum, and then we start to move forward on the grant application for the end of June. Any other questions? Any
The public hearing about our September.
And we should probably talk about that.
It's on the.
Yeah, it's the same as our, no, it's the 8th. I think isn't it?
We have a board meeting on the 8th, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking 15, yeah, it's the 8th, yeah,
Look who has his hand up.
Yeah. Mike,
Oh,
we may want to,
Can you unmute?
I'm trying to stop sharing, sorry.
no, there's, I don't. Can you unmute Mike?
No, you can't, hold on.
You got him? Okay.
Hang on.
Yeah. There he is.
Man, if it's okay with the chair, I'd just like to clarify what Ann mentioned about the deposit money and the refundable, the stages of the refundable.
Sure.
thank you, Mike.
Okay. Yes, because it's a little complicated. The agreement just came in and was recorded at the town clerk this afternoon. And I don't have it in front of me at home, obviously, but I believe I'm remembering this correctly. The first 180 days after the signature, I believe the signatures were, I don't know, it was sometime last week was the date that this part of the agreement started. So basically 180 days from last week is the expiration of the first period. And so the $20,000 is fully refundable through that first period. And that gets us through referendum, etc. After that, essentially 6 months, $5,000 of that deposit would not be refundable, and that was negotiated as an agreement between the seller and the town because of the fact that they're holding it for an extended period of time. They will have paid property taxes in January, and they also have to keep it off. They don't have to keep it off the market, but they can't sell it to someone else during the period of the agreement. So the $5,000 would be lost after the 6-month period if we decided not to execute the deal. However, the contract still stays in enforcement. It stays in force for another 180 days. So basically, we get a year from last week. which gets us through the application period next summer and presumably through approval by DAS or very close to that. So the all of the major hurdles would be cleared in the year period, and the assumption is most of the major hurdles will be cleared in the first 6 months. So that is during the period where it is fully $20,000 refundable, if that makes sense. And if there's questions for clarity, feel free to ask. And no, I'll just point out that first 6 months is just like when you buy a house and you want to have an inspection done and the septic checked and all that. This is that sort of contingency period, you might call it, which is why it's fully refundable for that time.
Okay, I believe that's it.
Any other questions or comments on the school building committee information?
I don't know if it's now or and board comment that it's appropriate to say. I guess I'll just do it now. I just wanted to say thank you to the SBC, all of the people who've done all the work, including the two folks sitting at the table from our board. It is amazing the amount of hours and work and dedication that this board has put into this project. And I just want to say thank you for someone whose kids are not going to be able to experience the new school. I look forward to hearing stories in years to come about the kids who will enjoy this new school. And I just really want to say thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
And of course, school building committee meetings continue.
Yeah.
Every Monday or every other Monday?
Every other. Second and fourth.
It's like every other day.
It seems like every time I turn around, there is one on Monday.
Yeah,
It's the special meeting, so that's fair.
I think it'll calm down a bit though.
I don't,
You don't think so, though?
I don't.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the hopeful thought.
Yeah, James has done a good job.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Number 8, old business, letter A, main event, 26-27 budget finally got passed. We have a number, and now we need to make a decision.
Okay, so. You have had numerous conversations about all of the items. You've tangled with it. Now you actually have the number, as Arthur said. What I did is I took the budget document from the original presentation. I put in the highlights so I can go through it faster with you and say, here's what money was changed, here was updated, here's why. This budget that you've seen now and that I'm going to put in front of the public is exactly the number that was passed. Okay. So anything that's highlighted, what I can do is, as long as you approve this tonight, and sorry, it says BOE approves tonight, but then I don't have to change it. This will go on the website this way, because I think if you approve this, it'll show people where the changes occurred. I would leave the highlights in, if that makes sense. Yeah, I will. All right. So, first thing that was changed is there's your number. So 210-274-025 was a $259,000 increase. It's a 2.59% budget increase. The I applied in this budget all $261,000 that you have in your non-lancing account, based upon having money back. Because I do believe you're going to have 6 figures coming back in 25-26, and the expectation that you are going to have an outplacement one less in 27-28. That would zero that out. So it's still risky, but I think that it would give you the $100,000 that for the following budget, as long as you don't use that $100,000 next year or the current fiscal year. If that makes sense. So the total offset in special education is $723,000.
But that stops the can from being kicked down the road. What you're saying. That means next year we're not starting, if everything goes to plan, like you just stated, we're not kicking it down the road. It will start clean.
If everything happens
Yes.
just perfectly,
Yep.
you know, with special ed, tomorrow I could say we have 3 kids coming in or 3 kids coming out. And so,
Yeah.
but today, the way this is applied, it is very close to putting you in a position that it would be the following year that you might not have in 28, 29, that you might not have any non-operating funds. If that makes sense, because you would have applied the 100,000 like you normally do. So, which is, again, I'm just trying to look long-term.
Yep.
Because when you offset a budget by $100,000 each year and then you don't, it's exactly what Board of Finance lived this year, right? They didn't have as much money to offset the total budget, which was the reason for the big increase. So there's your total reductions, 831, and I say total reductions off of the grants. We updated the class sizes. So we're 22 on pre-K, 41 currently for kindergarten, 2 first grade, 2 second grade, 2 third grade, and then 47 right now and at 4th grade. And I believe I heard another one maybe coming in there. And then it did not impact 5th through 8th. So
3rd is right on that line.
it is right on that line, and it could bubble in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
In the next month, we will see. But that's what we're planning for. Several of your emails this was not clear, I guess, after our last budget discussion last meeting, which is why you got multiple emails from families. There is a 3rd section of kindergarten in this budget, and we are planning for 3 sections because of the sheer number of kids. The original budget had 3 sections of 3rd grade. It is now down to 2 of 20. So that is the change. The salaries are in the document. So the changes, there are no more staff specialists anywhere in your budget. They're out. We updated when Brianna came in versus Brenda. So when Brianna came in and we hired somebody new, there's a salary change off the secretarial section. That was in the old budget. It's not significant, but it was something, so we adjusted it. That's what that is. We also took out the staff support specialist number. There's the new total. All supplies across the district came down 10%. There might be other items in there that if we could pre-purchase or something, so if it's not exactly 10%, it's the reason why. If I could pre-purchase something with refunds, I did. Okay. The media center books, library books are out of center and hall. I did allow Amy to purchase books at the end of the school year, knowing there's a chance that this was going to be zeroed out.
Can we work out something with Scholastic or something?
Amy has good money in Scholastic book fair money in her student activity account for center, not for hall. I am banking on if she needs something that I have that in my back of my head for where I'm going to call it my REAP money. That's the only grant that's not fully offset here. If she needs something in the library or a teacher needs something that we don't have supply money for, that is what I'm going to target that money for.
And I know around conference time, they have teachers can request books from Scholastic and parents can.
Yeah,
Maybe we could also have library where.
I think she does. I think her name's up there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So new total for center, 3.42% increase. Hall school, again, no staff support specialist. I have removed the intervention paraeducator position with the Heather Wiskowski leaving. We do not have to hire there. The person that's in the intervention paraeducator position is shifting over as long as you approve this. She would then shift over into special education. She would still have a job. The salary has been adjusted accordingly because it was based on bumping before. And obviously the staff support specialist salary is gone. We had, Alicia did me a favor and she went back through the subscriptions and she actually went back out to Rosetta Stone and they almost cut our subscription in half. And I was like, are you sure we're getting the same amount of stuff? Like, it's right. And we are. So that was, I'm glad she did that. And so kudos to her. So that we took it down. That was in the final minutes of this. Again, supplies down 10%, library books out. I don't know why I highlighted the 6,800. Oh, the furniture was the chairs. We had the chairs that were in there. It's now back to the normal number. So you've got the total expenditures and the new budget total. Hall is a 0.27% increase. Program 3, special ed. This update in paraprofessionals is based on the movement and the bumping. So we updated that number and it changes the subtotal. So that's actual based upon who we are going to have. The person that obviously was in an intervention role is now in this line. That intervention para is now in this line. Summer school, we went back, Marcia, because it's passed, right? Summer school happens. We used actuals and it was higher. We expected it to be higher because of the new contract rates and we turned out much lower. So we actually put in the number that was, it cost us. So that's that and transportation are actuals. They're updated based on actuals that were used for summer school. Okay. And then they were cut their additional $1,000 they asked for supplies for special education. That was new. So I took that out. There's your 261 applied for non-lapsing. There's your new special ed total. That is a 1.91% increase. Program 4 went from the secretarial change there is because a portion of the new assistant at center is now tied to this and Brianna. So that number's been updated. Again, it's not a huge change, but I was trying to find every dollar I could. And so that's adjusted. The bus contract went from 6.5 to 5.5 buses. So there's the change in that and the budget total. This is a decrease of 9.89%. What I'll tell you is if you end up with a 20 student bubble at some point, you might have to come back to this and go the other way. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. If more families decide to opt out, that helps us, right? But it's just, this is one of those ones that if we end up with, a bigger grade, it could be impacted. Health services, we brought their supplies down. So just like everybody else. Curriculum and staff development was not touched. Utilities was not touched. Operations maintenance was not touched. Program 9, that new administrative assistant change in Brianna was updated and my salary is flat in this budget. That's the new total there. No increase. We reduced our supplies for Board of Ed and for Superintendent's Office. There's your new totals. 6.92% decrease. And then fringe. We've never been this late. And so we continually updated insurance based on the current census today. We also need to update insurance based upon open positions. If I had an open position and the person was waiving insurance, I had to put some level of insurance as a security into that position, because if someone new came in and they take family insurance, suddenly that's a $28,000 shortfall in this budget. That's a problem. So every single opening currently has insurance tied to it. And it is the right way to do it. However, because of that, and because it's so late, we also, and I talked to Stacy about this in the business office, and Sherry as a business manager, we felt comfortable removing a portion of, we have kept one insurance block. So if someone ever changes, it's a placeholder. We only have one. We reduced that down to basically employee only to like 10,000. So that brought this down, but it also brought insurance up because we had to put insurance in for other people. It also changed dental. So that number is based upon the census that we know today and the open positions. It is very accurate. So there's your total budget. When you look at the total amounts, and I'm gonna, sorry to make you dizzy for a second. The last thing I'll show you is we updated our staffing page. And so you can see where, you know, the staff support specialist came out, intervention para came out, transportation, where we updated the number of drivers. We don't have an after school program director anymore, so we updated the total. So again, this is your new number, and what I just showed you matches that number.
Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything? Thank you.
I feel like I'm the thanker tonight. Thank you to everybody who combed through and tried to figure out ways to cut what was already a bare bones budget. I know that we still have stuff to talk about, but I hope that as the year progresses, if people are struggling because of the cuts that were made to this budget, that we hear about it and can do something to advocate for or help the folks who have been impacted.
I will say the additional money that you put into non-lapsing, or we put in, is what is saving either sports or world language or part-time PE. You could consider any of those three. That's what it's saving. If you don't have the money in the future for non-lapsing, if you don't have that money to apply, you're going right back to those items. I don't think you could consistently cut 10% of your supplies every year. You can't do it.
Well, I don't think anything we did this year is sustainable. I think that this is a break glass in case of emergency situation, and I strongly believe that we, as a board, should have a serious conversation at some point soon about what happens in the budget season that starts imminently.
Did you happen to update the spreadsheets like you have them so we could see?
Like match this.
Right. Do you have a? Can you throw that out? Yes. Yeah.
I don't want names next to salaries.
No. I mean the one that we had before. What you were consistently?
I did not.
That's right.
Sorry, no, I did not update it.
So I was just wondering.
It was basically the first. I think it was the first 17 lines. Whatever was in there was taken out.
No, I know. That's what we've been consistently showing. And this was just different. You know, it was the
Different way to show it.
actual budget document. It just might have been.
Let me just.
It,
I thought you were talking about the actual. Hold on.
No.
Let me see if. Line 21. Now it's not updated, but the list is so the non-lapsing special ed supplies, HMS chairs. You have $41,000 in waiver savings. That was a special 1-year deal that you did for the additional for the admin team to waive insurance. savings there. He took out the Chromebooks, he took out library books, district supplies, 3 staff support specialists, and my raise. And that's basically, and then the other minor changes we made within the things that we nickel and dimed, I'll say it, that's what brought you to your total.
I just know it would be easier to kind of get.
I did not think
The
those.
reason I say it is because for many meetings now, people have heard us say, you know, pay to play sports on the chopping block and the World Rangers on the chopping block and all that kind of stuff. That was all listed out basically.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I was just curious to see if you have like a finalized Excel or Google Sheets.
It's on the individuals. The other piece is that when people leave, and we've had a couple people leave, it makes a difference in, it's worked out in our benefit, actually.
Right.
Will the Chromebooks be a problem for testing, or we have enough funding?
We will, be okay for testing this year.
What generation are they, you know?
They're closing in on their lifetime. I
End of life.
don't know yeah.
Or price sevens?
No, I have to sit down with Novus again now, because they asked me, they're like, hey, can we have some money for parts? I just gave them a few $1,000s of brief money to buy supplies for repairs. But our replacement cycle is broken, and to be able to, and everyone's looking at their technology, right? Every district's looking at this, the amount of technology we need, what, you know, students need to be familiar enough with technology to be comfortable in state testing, because that is not going to change anytime soon. They're going to have to take their testing on there, but we're going to have to see how we can manage that. It is one thing that, again, that to build a building, that's in your
Exactly, I was
number.
just gonna say that.
It is.
30, we're good to go.
It is, it's
If
just what, to
Until
get
then.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
She is right.
Brianna?
Hi. I'm just trying to think about how we help ourselves next year a little bit more. So we do talk about our financial reports every month, and those are being shared with the Board of Finance, which I think is really important. So they're more in step with us and understand what we're doing, what we're going through, and all of the grants and creative ways that money is being used and preserved. But maybe in November, we need to have like a mock conversation or a pre-budget workshop conversation to talk about how things are going and think about like if we had to make some of these big choices at that point in the year, how would things be looking? Because then I think we all know, like when budget season starts, when the workshops come up for us in like a calendar type way, but it always seems kind of like abrupt, and then we're left with this scrambling part. So how do we have these conversations sooner in our year, sooner in our meeting schedule, so that we can get ahead of it a little bit more? You know what I mean?
So we're sending financial reports to the Board of Finance, right? Is it ever brought up on the meeting?
No, I think they know where the Board of Ed is at. I also think there might be an expectation, this is probably Jen's pet peeve, is that we solve problems.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, I think the board, maybe I have that reputation of, we can find a way to fix that, and it's at the detriment of something else. Right? When I freeze a budget, it's not, or I don't fill a position, it's at the detriment of something else. And you're just.
I think to Arthur's point, I'm sorry, were you done?
No.
I didn't mean to step on your stuff, but, if we had a person, and it doesn't always have to be you, like we could do a rotation, but if we always had somebody who represented the Board of Ed when we had that budget and had a place on the agenda and had the opportunity to answer questions, we couldn't come to the table in January, whatever it is, and no one can express surprise at what's happening. Like, if we've had a monthly dialogue about it, not just submitting the paper, monthly dialogue about it, and having the opportunity to have people ask questions about it or whatever. I feel like that's a step in the direction that you're talking about.
That's kind of where I was going is sending them the information is fine. It's kind of what they do with it. And I don't know if it would help. I don't know if it would make a difference, but if there was, or honestly, if Steph is even interested in it because she makes the agenda, but if there was a spot on there, if there was any kind of review for any kind of questions as the months go on and as you see the budget document change, as it changes going on, if there's any questions, ask you or ask Brianna. I don't know if that would help, but I don't think it's a bad idea to propose to be like, well, if you want to know where things are going and how things are going throughout the year, this is how they're going throughout the year. This is why we asked for what we asked for. This is why, this is why this money goes here. This is why this money goes here. That kind of thing. Whether or not it works or whether or not it's useful or helpful, I don't know. But
I wonder if we could do something too where when you do negotiations, they appoint someone that's invited, Board of Finance member sits on the negotiations team. If there was someone that could be like a contact point from the Board of Finance to the Board of Ed, we're the biggest budget, right? I mean, so it makes sense for them to be in the know, and that person could also be responsible, right? Anne is reporting out on the school building committee, same concept. If one of their members is reporting out on Board of Ed, maybe and that person has a direct channel to me. With questions, they can get the information, just go back and forth. It's another way to do it as well. I think for the most part, the month to month, it's when a lot of people don't understand the significant change you can see when you have a summer for hiring. When you hire someone, someone leaves and they're making 95,000 top staff, they've got 30 years of experience, and then you hire someone at 55 and they go from family insurance to a waiving. And the swing is $70,000 for one person. It's a lot. And when we see insurance rates, and I actually talked to somebody about this when I was giving tours for the new building or a fall, and talking about him saying that I would support new things for education. I can't stand supporting things for insurance hikes. That's just part of the budget. And it was a very fair comment. When you get a 20% insurance increase, no one wants to see their taxes go up for that. But if you said, hey, I'm going to do this brand new program, this is the great things that are going to happen with it, I think would support those things. And so trying to find that balance and help people understand that that's just part of the budget. And it's the reality. It's your big changes. It's special ed, and it's insurance, and it's a change in teacher when there's a big shift. So I don't know if that helps to share that. Maybe that's the front side information for Board of Finance, and I can give them a recap once hiring's done. Like, hey, here's what we budgeted for. I just don't. I say this to you, like, I'm going to hire the best person because I think that's what you give me the job. You gave me to do. If there's two people that are equal to 160 and 190, I'm going to hire the 60. But
I like that idea about a liaison kind of position between BOE and Board of Finance. I think that's a good idea. And then once hopefully your staffing will be completed before the first day of school, well, before PD, honestly. But can you put together some kind of graph or document to show us what happened with the insurance? Because like you're saying with hiring, there could be all kinds of fluctuations, but it would be good for us to see where it shook out in the end once everyone was hired.
How many took family, how many took individual?
Yeah, because that's something that like we can't control, like you're saying, and that's a huge, giant, enormous factor.
yeah, I mean, I can just give you totals. We have them now. We have just a spreadsheet that just constantly changes. When we have I think it's 5 slots on it right now. There's names tied to it, but it's easy to total them up and just say, hey, WEA has X number of families to have family insurance, this number E+1, this number of E. We can show you all that. And And the change in just one person, it's very easy to show that where our totals are. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I think also, I'm just really, this is 3 years now of all of this like extra referendums, and we need to find a better way, obviously. So, I think sometimes when budgets are frozen, the families don't know that. They have no idea. Unless you come to one of our meetings and hear you say it during like financial conversations in our meetings, they have no idea. So, and they need to know that that's happened and why it has occurred and how long it could possibly continue on for and like what is the holdup. I think parents need to be more informed somehow about stuff like that so they can see how everything progresses throughout the school year, not just all of a sudden like, oh, wait, what happened? Where are we? How do we like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to say, how do we get people so they're more informed along the route, along the way? And we really need to think about all of the things that were on that list that we were considering having to eliminate or change. Those things all still need to be in the forefront of our minds as we proceed into this school year, because since we have considered them at this point, they're possibly likely going to be considered again. So if we looked at certain things and we're like, all right, well, maybe we could do without that position, or maybe we could change the structuring of this position so it's one person instead of two. We really need to be constantly looking at that throughout the school year because that might be what we need to do the next time around.
Sorry to be a broken record, but the biggest way you change your per pupil and your staffing and the cost is 2 buildings to 1. It is the way you change it. Duplication of services is expensive. I was talking to Sydney Ford about this today. Their budget, I think, is $1 million less than ours. They're in one building. So
That's about what you estimated by the time you put staff and operational.
Ashford, yeah.
Yeah. By the time you put staff and, building operations together,
Yeah.
that's about what you estimated. Yeah.
How should this motion be worded? Just with the years and budget and as presented?
Sure.
Yeah. I do have a question though. Did we ever, and this is kind of off topic, but there's no other spot for it. Did we ever schedule the town meeting to get any
No.
reimbursement
Good
for
question.
this year's fairs?
We didn't do it because we're waiting to see where the budget lands.
Okay.
So, and they're still down a slot in there, so, and trying to.
But that's still on the table for this.
It is.
For this current.
Still on the table that would impact 25, 26.
Right.
The question will be, should that happen if there was money there? 1 and 2, that money is also factored into your overall school building savings.
Mhm.
That is in the, you're talking about because it's repair money
Yeah.
out of the school repair fund.
Right, but so the reason I asked is because I advocated for this, and I agree with it. If we put in all the extra 161,000, my caveat to that would be contingent on that, not necessarily contingent, but going back to the town meeting to get that reimbursement for those repairs, because that was 50 plus in repairs. So that would just add to our current to refill that money that is getting put into this budget. I think it's a good idea. So, I mean, I understand it's coming from the school building committee. I understand, or not school building committee, from the repair fund. I understand the school building committee is using some of that money, but I think we need to do it as well.
I also didn't use the drip line, 25, 26. I rolled it. So I'm waiting to see. We have the ability to do it up to the point where she finalizes the 25, 26 budget.
Okay.
So once she gets closer to say, Phil, here's the actual number, I will bring that back to you and say, okay, what's your move now? You already requested that, but if you want to move forward with this is what it would do for the budget.
Via email or in a meeting?
It depends on the timing of it.
Okay.
So we have a cap on our non-lapsing fund. What is that again? The cap?
It's a little over 260. It's probably, I think it's 270, maybe something 280. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know it's around that number. We were close to capped.
Okay, so we were going to apply, is it what, 261
We're applying every dollar we have in non-lapsing.
to next year's budget? Now, will that zero out before we can put this year's lapsing money into the fund?
No,
Because,
because we actually pay off. That money is used to pay outplacement tuition, and those bills are slow. So the money will sit there for a while. It could be encumbered.
Yeah.
But it's not going off the books right away.
so is it gonna limit what we can put into that fund at the
No,
end of this
no.
year?
Now,
So
Donna
once
started
you
that.
put in 270.
You could have 370, and the reason why is because 260 of it is accounted for because it's going out on non-lapsing, and you just can't pay the bill until you have the bill.
Okay. Okay, so we have, okay, I just want to make sure that we
It's not,
can put
it's
the
not,
most we can in this
it's
year.
not limited.
Okay, that's good.
And if it does, we're just gonna cut a check to and hold it to pay the bill.
Anything else? Or
John makes his motion.
That was a long budget season.
Yeah. I make a motion to approve the 26-27 budget as presented tonight by Phil.
the amount of,
In the amount of 10 million.
All right.
I don't have it. You have it written down?
Okay, I might have.
10,274,061. That's right.
And
I don't know, I'm not saying, I don't have nothing.
I don't either. I should have wrote it down.
Actually,
I'm pulling it.
Thank you.
10,274.025.
oh, it's just a 10,274,025. I said it was 60.
Like, how can it be 025?
You would have left the prices right to those.
Okay.
Can you say that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, friendly amendment to add the amount of the 26-27 budget of $10,274,025.
Agreed.
Second.
Okay, any last discussion before we finally put this onward behind us?
Do you know that budget would be the same amount of money that we have to bond for a brand new school? 1 year's education budget. That would be it. Isn't that amazing?
Could be an interesting budget season if that passes.
With
Figure that
the
out.
reimbursements.
With the reimbursement.
With the
The
reimbursements, yes.
reimbursements that we got, that's
Yeah.
very
That is
important thing
crazy.
to state, because if you don't put that in there, people are gonna be like, oh, then we can do this anytime. No,
No.
Nope, this is a one-off.
Right. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? That is unanimous. That's done. Right. Rules, business B, board committee.
I threw this back on here, well,
yeah.
Pete, if you wanna keep things easy, where the holes are,
Bring it up a little bit more.
the Smith's chair was on transportation. That committee is going to be negotiating contract. They're gonna be doing some work this year. So that group will definitely be meeting.
Do you have a timeline on that?
Once we start the school year, we're
Okay.
gonna jump right in. I'm
Okay.
not gonna let them wait too long in case we have to go out to bid. And I'm sure he'll just offer another 5-year contract, and you'll have to determine if you wanna do it or not. And then the ad hoc committees, it was under clubs and wellness. Clubs typically doesn't meet because it's just the middle school, the money's for the money, but wellness will be meeting. They met 2 times last year, and no board members, I didn't invite actually, so don't.
I mean, I'm not on it, but I.
No. So I don't know if you just want to jump on those, or if somebody wants to rotate, but that's.
Okay, I'll take some.
You'll take what Sam had?
Yeah,
So just keep it simple, or
keep it simple.
and Brianna, this is one where you can actually just place, it's the role of the chair. but if typically you've just, and sorry, we're looking at you, but you're on a small box of the TV. Typically it's been whatever the board agrees upon doing. So if you're okay with that, this is just what it would look like.
On transportation?
Transportation, clubs and wellness. And that's where Sam was, that's where I would just place him.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I do have something for clubs I would like to discuss at some point at the clubs. Maybe at some point.
Yep. Yeah, and if anybody, and Jen and I were talking about this today, if anybody wants, if you're on a committee meeting, on a committee group and you want to meet on a topic, you don't have to wait for me to call a meeting. Just let me know. We'll talk about what the agenda is. I'll talk to Brianna about it and we can do it. You don't have to necessarily wait till I do something.
Why is security graded on 2 slots?
The number of seats, number of people in that committee, it's very large, and it's typically always been the chair of the board is the person who fills the seat.
Oh, so it's not just our security. I
No,
understand.
no, it's, first selectmen, it's maintenance, it's principals, it's, EMTs, it's fire chiefs. It is a big group. It is a hard group to get everything together.
I'm getting an invitation to that meeting.
Become chair of the board.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
So as long as you're okay with that, I don't know that you decide if you want to vote on that or not, or just, I think because she's as chair, she can decide that, and you're just all agree upon on that. Unless anybody else wants to make a shuffle out of a committee that you're currently on.
I'm good. I have.
Okay.
Everybody's good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Peter, for making that a little bit easier for us all. You're gonna love transportation. I learned so much when I was on that one.
Sounds amazing.
It's
Gotta be
fascinating.
great.
All right, old business CI. Second policy review, policy 6142, health and wellness.
So I sent this to you with all of the updates, give you a little background on the wellness committee. So we had 2 meetings last year. This was run by Erin Conley. When she was here, and then when she left, she was the curriculum director. When she left with COVID funds dried up, this kind of took a little bit of a back burner. We brought it back last year, and the wellness committee is tied also to tools for schools. So it's a joint committee. The folks that are on it, this is like the PE teachers, food services, the nurses are on it, the admin team's on it. We used the 2 meetings in 25, 26 really to get back and kind of reinvigorated and organized. They updated and they've seen the updated policy. They provided feedback on it. And now that's what's in front of you. That group is also working on the tools for school stuff. We have some 2 air quality checklists that we are going to do. I do with the maintenance folks over the summertime, and that'll be presented. They tie together. And to be honest with you, the same group, we're small. And so when the state says you got to have all these committees, we meet during the school day intentionally because to do all these committees, we have to do after school. People won't, we can't get people. So we confirmed with the state that everybody that's on the committee, we're okay with. I have a written email back around that. And they would like a student on the wellness committee. And what I said was, we do it during the day, and it seems weird to have in a pre-K-8 to have a student on in discussion with some of the topics that we discuss. Can we just have the principals meet, which is what we do for climate, which is also okay. Have the principals share the information with the student in a lunch group, where they're not being pulled out of class, get feedback on it, bring it back to the committee, and the state said, absolutely, that's age appropriate, fine to do. So, we may expand the role of the BOE reps to also include, you get to provide feedback on some of these other things. So if you're a BOE rep, you can provide feedback on climate, you can provide feedback on wellness, any of those things. And so that was the student piece. And then I asked, because it's in the thing, they say that in the public, and I'm like, well, that's too vague. The public can provide feedback on any policy you have. We put it up for 2 reviews. They have present to speak. They have feedback opportunities. That's clear. And then we did not have, we had our last wellness committee prior to this one had a teacher who was also a parent, and they double dipped. We don't have that anymore. So we're going to try and recruit our parents. It just has to be someone that can attend during the day, which makes it a little bit harder. So the work that they've done, they've gone through the wellness policy, and they will take that wellness policy and create an action plan from it. They look at things like the physical activity goals. The nutrition goals are pretty straightforward because they're tied to Stephanie's. The things that you always sign off on, Arthur's famous, when he reads that really long drinks you can have in school and what food you're going to serve. That's tied to this. You've done that. What food beverage is sold, any public involvement. And then there's also things like where we're trying, when we have the triennial assessment that's tied to food services, this group will be part of that. They do that work, and there's an assessment that we got from the state. So it's all of those things, and it ties to staff and it ties to students. So they will create their action plan. If you read the policy, you can see it's like it could address this, it could address this. It's based upon what the district and this wellness committee wants to address based upon student and staff needs. So they may choose to target all nutrition one year, and the next year it could be something else, or they could do a piece. And so that's kind of the background of where this is at. And so the wellness committee that you just talked about tonight, if any of the folks that are on the wellness committee can attend that meeting, that's how we would do that work. That's my kind of background on where this came from too. So questions about the policy, the things you saw in the policy.
By and large part, though, this policy is basically establishing guidelines for that committee. That's largely what the policy does.
Yeah.
And the committee takes on the policy and does what they need to do. So that was just, I guess I was looking through this, and I had asked Phil to provide some background on it, because the policy is very, if you read it, it's very, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. And it's kind of very unclear, like, really what's our role in this? And the role is to establish a committee that's going to take this and do things with it, but largely let the policy just be there. So. Also, I saw your recommendation, Shipman has it as a 5,000 policy.
Yeah.
I don't remember what our 5,000s are. What's the subject of our 5,000s?
So it's
As students. Or 6,000. Yeah. Sorry, I should have pulled this up. I'm sorry.
okay. So what he's saying is we had this in the shipment model. Our 5,000 series policy is students, and the 6,000 series is instruction. And for whatever reason, this was put in instruction. And I think it was tied to because some of the older things were meant to help in health classes and PE classes. The majority of this policy, though, is not necessarily intended to be around instruction. It's around student life. And the things you're doing. So physical activity opportunities, what you're doing for nutrition, things like that. So my suggestion would be to pull this out of the 6,000s and put it into the 5,000s.
Do you have a number in mind?
We can make up a number.
Does that have to be part of the motion to approve?
It should be.
Yeah, because the old policy number, you're replacing the old policy number, which is, and I'm going to say this, and John, you're going to be the keeper of this. It is 6142.101 health and wellness. And that in your motion, you would replace that policy eliminate that policy and you would replace it with new policy, and I will give you a 5,000 number unless somebody wants to create one.
So,
You got a spot out there?
yeah, I do. We have an opening at 5115, and that's right before school climate policy. So that might be a good spot to put it in.
Fine by me.
5115 is?
Yeah.
So that would create this new policy would be titled.
So you, motion to remove policy 6142.101 health and wellness and create policy 5115 health and wellness.
So
Was that a motion?
Yes, I said, no, it was a motion, but it came out as a question because I started as a motion.
Okay.
The second name, yes.
It did sound like a question. I heard it.
Yeah, and we can report back, once they do their action plan, we can report back on what their action plan looks like.
any other discussion on this one? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, full business, C, double I, policy 3541.44, use of private vehicles by district employees on school.
Are we doing it tonight?
I know. And this is our third, right? We pushed this off.
We pushed it for a little while, and it's not a priority, but
But it's definitely,
Motion to approve policy 3541.44 use of private vehicles by district employees on school business
with the changes.
with the changes noted in the document.
Second.
any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? That's unanimous. Wow, all right,
Present speak.
we are on present to speak. Public participation is desired and encouraged. Speakers will be limited to time appropriateness, staying on topic and maintaining decorum. There is still nobody in the room, so if anybody is online that wants to speak in this present to speak section, please raise your hand or signify somehow on the
I love them.
screen. You don't want me either. Edie?
Hi, Dee Dee, Jones, Lucerne Road. Thank you, first of all, thank you all for your work today. There was some of that I had to miss, so I will be rewatching, but that being said, I am just I am upset just because it was mentioned that we need more parent engagement and we need more parents to pay attention. And I think I've expressed several times in several different meetings that the best way to get parents to really realize that there's an issue going on is by forcing them to be aware. That included the sports and that included the list of items in the beginning of the school year. I'm speaking as a frustrated parent who's been trying to gather as many other parents to get into this, and it really just isn't happening. We as parents need something that's going to give us a wake-up call, and cushioning the fall every single year by going into your savings is not doing you guys a favor. It's doing you a disservice, if anything. Because when we do run out of savings, we're going to feel it, and we're going to feel it really badly. And I get that you guys are trying to do the best thing for the community. But I really do feel like getting rid of these things would have been very helpful in your situation. I think that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thanks, Edie. Mike?
Hi, Mike McCoo, Clover Springs Drive. Speaking as a resident and as first selectman, I'd like to encourage anyone who's participating in this meeting or watching this meeting to please stay engaged over the next few months, because a couple of critical things are happening. Obviously, the various conversations, starting with tomorrow night's town meeting, about the 4 topics there are all important topics to the community, and some are controversial topics potentially. And that means we need the various viewpoints there. I will please ask that there be decorum and respect. Everyone's opinion matters. And the only way that that can be respected is if everyone is respectful. And the issues are dealt with as instead of the personalities or the name calling and all that. Continuing from tomorrow night's town meeting, there is a lot, obviously, that's been discussed tonight and has been discussed throughout public circles about the school building committee and the referendum. I am very concerned that we recognize the incredible opportunity that starting with the administration previous to me coming in office and the very diligent work by Tammy Nuccio and Jeff Gordon has set Willington up for an amazing opportunity. And we, every year, every single one of us who lives and works in Connecticut is paying into that school fund. We are helping to build schools in Glastonbury and Farmington and Cobb and Bridgeport and Hartford. And we are just as deserving, and we've been paying in. That money should also be serving the students and the taxpayers of Willington. And the program that's been built is so incredibly good. It makes it even better that the referendum failed a few years ago for the school, because we are in so much of a better place. And this really is an incredible opportunity. Everybody makes out in the positive. There are no losers if the school project goes forward. So I hope everyone stays engaged. I hope the yes votes are there. I hope it's what the community wants. And I really hope people stay participating. And then as we get through all of that, there will be no time to exhale, because we're going to be right back into fall budget season. And that will be critical, as you have discussed in this meeting, as we recognize the challenges of thin savings accounts and challenging revenue situations. And we have to stay aggressive with our representatives. It will be an election season this fall, and whoever is in those seats after that election need to get continuous communication from the communities, both from the voters individually and from the community organizations, to continue the work that was done this year fairly successfully to start turning around the revenue stream from the state. But we're not where we need to be. Particularly, all of you know very intimately how flawed the formulas are for educational support. So I guess I'll wrap that all up about saying that everyone in Willington needs to please stay engaged, no matter what the topic is, no matter what your feelings are. Ask the questions, learn the official information, don't get tied up in the drama, don't get tied up in the emotions, because if we can stick to facts, we have amazing opportunities for this town, but we also have hard work to do to make those amazing opportunities happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else online present to speak? All right, thank you everybody for joining. Number 10, board comments. Anybody have any comments for tonight?
Can I just ask, did you guys want to talk about that September 8th meeting and how it's conflicting with that SBC event?
We never
Do we do an agenda addition?
Yeah, the public hearing, yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thanks, Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just cancel it and you reschedule us and make it a special meeting.
So be it.
So, well, right, but what are everybody's free day? Like, is it?
We can sort that out. Brianna can sort that.
Okay.
The one piece, and if you saw it on the postcard, it does say tentative still. They think they have all these dates hammered out. If there's a glitch in something and it shuffles a day, we just need to make sure that we have, when I'll have Brianna, reach out to you. If you can make sure you hold a couple days, then we will make sure that if we have to cancel, and it is gonna some, the budget hearings on, town hearing for the school is on the 8th, then we will cancel the BOE meeting and reschedule as a special meeting.
Okay.
And if for some reason the public hearing is a different night, we'll go ahead and meet.
That's what my feeling is, yeah. Does that make sense? Okay.
That's the right thing to do. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brianna. Thanks for the reminder. Forgot about that. All right, board done.
Okay, I would just like to say thank you to Steve and Heather and Julie as they move on. And Julie, we hope we can keep you engaged in Willington. And thank you all for everything. And welcome to Kelly, our new special ed teacher.
Yeah, we're fine. I just want to say thank you to everybody in our discussions on the budget. There's a lot of conversation that wasn't exactly fun. There's a lot of this conversation that was not exactly comfortable, but I appreciate everybody considering what everybody had to say and whatever suggestion I came across. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think that's what we did. So.
Yeah.
Well put.
Brianna, you have anything?
No, just on that topic, I like to ask, like, how can we do things better? So if everyone can if you think of any way to improve engagement or to make it so that we hit these topics more often in tinier increments so we can solve some of these problems, that would be really good. And of course, I'm super duper proud of us for sticking together, having really positive conversation, even when there was discord. I'm proud of us. So good job. And let's keep on cooking.
Thanks, Brianna. All right, with nothing left, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Say, Jeremy. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Brianna. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.